Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, more ladies and gentlemen, more ladies, more gentlemen, more old people, more young people, whoever is going to be watching this, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, tonight, what I'm planning on doing anyway is obviously I'm planning on bringing a little bit more content obviously to the channel, just the kind of ins and outs of obviously my life and what goes on and what doesn't go on, but at the same time I do like the thought of obviously bringing a little bit more kind of informative stuff to the channel, obviously to help out. I know there's a lot of younger generation bodybuilders coming up, and probably a lot of younger generation watching this video and watching my sort of videos, obviously because I don't really represent anybody that's been in this sport for years and years and years and years and years, but if I can help anybody bring it up and coming up, then that is really one of the main kind of focuses, and obviously what I would like and why I would like to bring a little bit more informative stuff to the channel. So I'm going to take you guys through my recent shoulder workout. Mainly the goal here is building all three heads of the shoulders. So we've obviously got front, side and rears. We've also threw a little bit of traps in here. But just kind of starting off, obviously I'm warming up here. I literally jumped onto the cable straight away, simply down to the fact that the gym was that cold. I had to get warm. I wasn't pre-exhausting, I wasn't taking anything to muscular failure. The gym was just freezing and I had to literally jump on something. So we done some front raises and we done some unilateral side raises just to literally get a bit of blood obviously through the muscle and obviously get as warm as we could. Now as you'll see here, I'm literally just grabbing some 2.5 kilo dumbbells and just making sure that obviously all my joints are ready, my warmed up, aside of obviously going onto the cable machine. Now I do this every single session. This isn't just because of the gym being cold, that being obviously what I'm doing with the dumbbells right now. I do this every single session, whether I'm in for chest, shoulders, back, legs, anything at all. During this session, I did actually jump about basically and do some lunges and also air squats, but obviously I didn't film that. That was literally just after this little bit here. I like to just make sure that obviously my full body is warmed up regardless. Whether I'm training legs or I'm training upper body, I like to make sure my full body is warmed up regardless. As when you think about it, a lot of exercises in your upper body require quite a bit of leg drive, so realistically we don't want to be kind of pulling away from that and not having loose in the lower body. Really, that's always going to be the goal. We always want to make sure that if we are doing an exercise that's going to require leg drive, we want our legs to be ready for that. We don't want to be going in with a tight lower body, so like you'll see, I'm basically just covering all bases here, going through most movement patterns in terms of upper body exercises here, just to kind of show you guys that I cover absolutely every single body part. This just allows me obviously to feel ready more than anything else, and plus the gym was freezing, so obviously the last thing we want to be doing is picking up 40 and 50 kilo dumbbells when we're not warmed up, because we're just on a straight line to an injury. But this was the kind of last warm-up, I believe, here on the dumbbell shoulder press. So I took the 40s, and obviously as you'll see, I did only do like 2 reps there, but that was because that was my last and final warm-up set. I did pick up 12.5s, I picked up 22.5s, and then I went basically 30s, 40s, and then 52.5s here, which you'll see. But I think as well, I'll be the first one to admit, it was a pain in the arse to get these up, and I believe it was just down to the gym being so fucking cold. Like, I was freezing. Don't even ask me why I took my hoodie off. I don't even know that myself, but yeah, I thought I was warm. I was able to take a decent enough set. There was maybe a couple of reps at the back end of the set that just kind of lacked a little bit on range of motion. I could have probably got it maybe a little bit lower. I mean, watching it back now, I'd take it and it's a very good set. I can't remember how many reps I took exactly, but I know I've never done that before with the 52.5s. But on a warmer day, let's just say that, on a warmer day, they would have felt a lot better. I would have took a lot more, and it's a road to get basically the 65s up on shoulders, as I've took the 60s for 8 up on shoulder, again on a good day, on a warm day, but we're looking to really get the 65s up. Now this was just a back off set here, so as you'll see, obviously across most of my bigger movements, I will take a top set and a back off set more than anything else. This is just really the kind of protocol that's worked for me over the past kind of few years, and especially since I've got into bodybuilding. On most of my compound movements anyway, so obviously my so-called bigger moves, nothing to do with the isolation work. Some of the isolation work gets a top and a back off, but most of the isolation work just gets straight sets or pyramid sets, which is just increasing the weight over the course of the sets. So set 1 will be the lightest, and maybe set 3 will be the heaviest, or set 4 will be the heaviest. But this was the back off set here, dropped 10 kilo, 42.5s. And then we moved on to arguably one of the hardest shoulder presses I've ever used in my whole entire life. The plate loaded primal strength shoulder press. Like, this is not a forgiving exercise. It's just one of the hardest machines that I've ever used in my whole entire life. Like, as you'll see the movement pattern of this and the angle of this machine, it literally goes up first before it then eventually goes out. So you're essentially pushing it out the way, then up the way, then back the way. So it's like one of the hardest exercises ever, and it's an exercise that obviously you do want to run and try and get really strong on it, but at the same time it's like you get to a certain point and then you just die on it. So this was my top set here, which was 3.5 plates, and then my back off set was, I believe, 2 plates and a 10, so 2.5 plates. But I mean, 3.5 plates I am able to take for a decent enough set. It just kind of gets very heavy and very hard very quick, and it doesn't get, it does, sometimes you find it doesn't get sore as in muscular sore, as in you just start fatiguing. Sometimes it gets sore as in, right, every single fibre in my body is going to rip here if I go for another rep. And it's simply just down to the fact of where the weight is on the machine and obviously the angle of the machine. But I was able to take a good enough set, so no complaints there. And sometimes I will run between a shoulder press on the shoulder press machine and obviously a shoulder press on the Smith machine. But we then moved on to one of the staples. Now, I always get it now. Nowadays anyway, I always get it for why I've kept in a dumbbell side raise in my training program. And it's just a case of it's always been that one. It's always been that one that's worked for me, and I've never seen a problem with it. And don't get me wrong, I've not got anything against anything down the lines of a cuffed side lateral raise or anything like that, but I know what works for me, and I would rather much pick up a dumbbell over getting the station set up in terms of doing a cuff side lateral raise. Now, this is one of the most basic old school exercises there is, and I genuinely do not see a fault in it. And regardless of whether we get to the end of the sets and your traps start to come in slightly, I mean, I don't believe your traps take over or anything like that, but I mean, even into the partial reps, like you'll see, I do take my sets all the way, so I like to even include partial reps at the end of sets. But I mean, I just don't believe anything can beat a side raise. It's a proper old move, and I feel it's one of them moves that I will always keep in, regardless if anybody is against it or not. But again, obviously, moving back to the front delts here. Now, as you'll see, this will really be the kind of last thing that front delts will get here, because obviously during the pressing movements we are taking a lot of direct front delt work. So these are the kind of smaller isolation exercises that will get the front delts working, and they'll really be the last ones, like you would have seen obviously moving from the dumbbell side raise and then back to the front delts. Now obviously we are going to include rear delts in this session, but just a case of working our way around. So obviously we have hit the fronts, obviously we've hit the sides. Last kind of small one back to the fronts, which is just an EZ bar front raise. Again, this is one of my favorite exercises. If I don't do something like this, I will do a front raise on the cables lying on an incline bench, or I will also do it through the legs like you've seen me do at the very start of the session when obviously I was getting warm. That would have been last one for the front delts, and then this is last one for the sides, which is just a unilateral cable side raise, which is the exact same exercise that I'd done obviously at the start of the session, but these were obviously working sets more than anything else. So 2 sets were done here, and then obviously we eventually moved all the way round to the back. Now these are one of the probably the body parts that are maybe missed out on quite a bit, but actually one of the body parts that count a lot, especially on the stage, especially when you turn to the back. You always notice the ones that hit the rear delts, and you always notice the ones that don't hit the rear delts. Now, don't get me wrong, the rear delts can be targeted during a lot of exercises, but direct work, I believe, is essential. So as you would have seen, we've done one of my favourite exercises for the rear delts, which is an EZ bar row. Again, just aiming to flare our elbows up, keep our elbows up to contract nice and hard, before obviously jumping on to just a nice and easy rear delt fly, if anybody probably calls it a rear delt fly. Then last and final exercise here for the rear delts was just a dumbbell row. Again, similar to your EZ bar row, we're just aiming to obviously keep our elbows flared out. Now I like to kind of do these, rotate these between dumbbells and a chest supported row, as I like to obviously flare the elbows out nice and high. On a chest supported row, it's one of my favourites. And then of course finishing off obviously up top, we've just finished off with some dumbbell shrugs. Now this is an exercise that I don't actually do particularly often, just as I get a lot of trap work, especially from big pulls and obviously your kind of bent rows and things like that. But yeah, that's really going to be it, guys. Took you guys through most of my shoulder session. I will include the full workout in the description box below, including all reps and all sets. But as you would have seen, mostly 2 working sets, back off, top set. But yeah, hope you guys did enjoy this one. If you did enjoy it, then please don't forget to drop the video a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I will see you all in the next video.
to his brain side and his mama's side.